What's going on, beautiful party people? It's the greatest rapper in all of known existence, your boy, JusJrdn. And actually, I'm also an Albertan. I say that because today I'm reacting to Alberta's $70 billion AI data center um, that's being backed by Kevin O'Leary. Now, I just wanted, I'm from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Shout out. I love Canada. I just am very optimistic about where Canada is right now. I think we're really about to put our foot to the metal and just become fantastic for some reason. I'm just in a very optimistic place. Now, I'm not one to talk politics and stuff. I know that the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau just stepped down or just resigned, and that's not even why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling. Maybe it is in part, but I just am so confident in the future of Canada and anyways, specifically Alberta too. So let's get into this. I'm super curious about this. Obviously, this is a huge investment into the province that I live in. My brother works in tech. So it's also something that I find interesting as well, just to see. So anyways, without further ado, let's get right into this one. Three, two, one.
I knew that this was a gem. I knew it was a unicorn, and it was a matter of time before someone moved ahead and really wanted it. Now, did I assume that it would be Kevin O'Leary? No. And has my world been turned upside down over the last 2.5 months? Yes.
The Premier of Alberta, Danielle Smith, joins me now. Madam Premier, you want to drill, baby, drill and open the pipeline and send your oil to America, is that right?
It is. I've been wanting to double our production in Alberta since I got elected a couple of years ago. And America is our best friend and trading partner. We know that we benefit from more oil production. Americans benefit from more oil production because it's the basic feedstock that goes into gasoline, and it allows for Americans to be able to keep those prices low, and we hope that we can find a mutually satisfactory way of going forward so that we can increase our production and build more pipeline. We have 200 billion barrels of oil in reserve that's recoverable. We've got 200 trillion cubic feet of gas, and we also have pore space that is probably the best in the world, next only to Russia. Once again, I think we're a better trading partner and friend than Russia. And so we have a plan to take carbon dioxide, capture it and bury it, carbon capture, utilization and storage. We already have done this at scale. We've already safely sequestered 14 million tons of CO2. We intend to do more of that. And I think that the other part of it is that we want to have our lower emissions fuel being exported internationally so that we can reduce the global emissions picture. So we have, I think, a lot to offer the world where we can not only provide energy security and affordability, but we can also reduce emissions. We think we have it all.
I've been getting a ton of people sending me the link to that interview you did with Danielle Smith from Alberta, when she dropped that bomb that she has 200 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. That's all power. That's what that is, and that's what we need for Bitcoin mining. We need for AI data centers. I mean, she's coming out blasting there, Stuart. That was pretty interesting.
When you start talking about, like, what is 7 gigawatts? What is 7.5 gigawatts? So at full build out, you're talking about a BCF of natural gas. So you're talking about 10% of all the natural gas supply in Alberta. So you need to have that ability to get an abundant supply of natural gas. I also realized over years through the heartland and seeing, okay, well, we're on methanol, and wait, now we're on ethanol, and now we're on hydrogen. The things change really quickly, and they're dictated by larger presence than just Canada. You're talking about supply and demand on the world market. So when you start talking about opportunities, you only really have like 2 years to capitalize on that. So, like, once again, it was really, really luck that we've advanced it so far to the point of I'm hitting this is ready. And then we go and we meet, Kevin O'Leary and his group. And then they start introducing this, which as I dove further and further in, like, this is the only place on Earth that can do something this scale. There is no other place on Earth. So when you get to that understanding, you're like, okay, well, let's do this.
The real opportunity in AI is not just in the software. Here in the US, we have a huge problem. In order to just meet the demands of the 7 largest hyperscalers, the Teslas and the Googles and the Microsoft and the Amazons, they have demand for 30 gigawatts of data centers, 30. And we used to build them at 50 megawatts. So that's a fraction of the size. A data center today needs to be 5.9, which means it has to be up 99.999% of the time. We can't get the power. I don't care what state you go to. You go to the power authority there and say, I just want 100 megawatts. Can't do it. We have no power in America right now.
Right now, we're on a conditional master water license for 20 million cubes of water, and that equates to 0.2% of the flowing rate of the Smoky. We've advanced the full design of the outtake over the last 4 years. We've advanced where the storage is going to go and located on the gig so that during those low periods of the Smoky, we've already pulled that water and we're already storing it. That is a substantial cost. You know, as it started developing and as I honed in on the area, all these advantages just started coming to the forefront. The gig is 250 meters away from the TC mainline. Well, what did I do? I realized that Alberta's industrial heartland or other areas is about feedstock. So the first thing I did is I acquired a corridor, and that corridor is 150 meters wide, and it goes directly from the gig right into the TC mainline. Over 200 easements and dispositions we registered. It's done now. So then when that company comes in, they have a dedicated corridor. But better than that, you have CNRL there, you have ARC there, so you have the ability to do off agreements with these companies on direct supply. You have midstream companies that are all throughout that area because that's where all your natural gas is produced, and there is real redundancy. Like these pads are connected. And it's already built in there. So as all of these things started to advance, there's a combination, and technologies advance really fast on the cooling, whether they can be using glycol or even geothermal, they're bringing in now. Opportunities on the cooling. The water, the majority, like the large majority, is for the electrical production, and that electrical production is all off the grid. Right? So we're not talking about putting it onto a maxed out ATCO current system here. So that water will produce that, and then they will look at a combination of various things. The fact that, you know, for instance, it's minus 25 this morning when I came here, that is wonderful for these data centers, and 7 months of the year it's kind of below that threshold, so that was another main competitive advantage.
I would have thought that the only way to supply massive amounts of power to these massive data centers on a short-term basis is to go nuclear. That's the way to do it, isn't it? Ideally.
Yes, but you said short term. Westinghouse is the most advanced on the small nuclear solutions, 12 to 15 years. But here's the problem, Stuart. Pricing right now at 58 to 61 billion per gigawatt. Now, the way to think about a gigawatt is you can light up 1 million homes with that, but that's now what the smallest data center requirements are. So what Smith has, Premier Smith, is she's got 200 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. We can put turbines there and convert it on a clean basis into electricity. And that's what's going to be the interim solution over the next 20 years. And so we have other opportunities as well with this nat gas. One would be in West Virginia and the other in North Dakota. But I need permits.
Yep.
So when I heard Trump talking about $1 billion, yeah, I'll bring $1 billion to both those states. Give me the permits. You know, policy changes economic behavior. You don't have to get into politics. You don't make any money in politics. You make money in policy. This is the kind of thing that's going to bring capital back to the United States. They figured that up in Canada. They got that They got that done pretty quickly. Now the same thing's going to happen. And I like this whole Danielle Smith thing because she's going to be part of this whole pipeline initiative, getting that thing fired up again. So everything's coming together, Stuart, on policy and capital, and I love to see this. But this is exactly what we need. You don't have to be, you can still hate Trump, but you got to love his policies. because that's what's going to bring jobs to these states.
You got that right. I think the data center explosion is one of the most important stories and underreported stories in America today. That's my opinion.
There has been so many moments that I look back and just go, wow, we lucked out. Or man, I don't know how we did it, but we did it right. And one of those was 3 years ago, myself having multiple conversations with two champions out of Grand Prairie. You know, they started Canadian fiber optics, and they were always believers in this development. And sitting down with them, they convinced me why I needed to have a dedicated optics line. So there is an installed dedicated optics line, the Canadian Fiber put, and dedicated for the gig. It's hard, and it's 36 inches below, and it can handle all of that data. So from the source.
I've had to search for where can I get the power? Where can I get 7 gigawatts of power? I found it in northern Alberta. The province is being run by a maverick woman who's very friendly with Burgum, very friendly with Kevin Stitt in Oklahoma, where Cushing is, very friendly with the Trump administration, because she's the top dog in getting the pipeline lit up again with Trump if he wants to do that. And she has provided a permit for me for thousands of acres, but 200 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. This is going to be the most low-cost energy in America. And look, it's a huge project. I got to raise $70 billion. But I'm moving all over the world doing it with her, and I've been flying to every sovereign wealth fund that'll take the meeting, and we're off to the races.
We just didn't get lucky. This has been over 10 years of an ASP, of consultations, of design, 5 years on water, $5.6 million on our road that we've already built, $50 million to the province of Alberta for the upgrade of Highway 40. So we chose, to try and change the path for the region, but with it comes a cost. And we also understood, though, that we had a clear competitive advantage over others, and that is that natural gas is sitting right there, and that water has the flows and the rates to support it.
We're going to be ahead of AI. We're going to be way ahead of AI, and we've got to produce tremendous amounts of electricity. You know that. It's unbelievable when you think that we need more than twice what we already have. If you think that's pretty for a specific industry, but we'll be able to do it.
The problem is a gigawatt of power, which is what the hyperscalers want. The Teslas, the Googles, the Amazons, the Microsofts. That's 1 million homes worth of light a night. So we can't put that on the grid in America anymore. Danielle Smith, who is probably the energy woman on earth right now, is the lowest cost energy in oil. Trump wants to light up XL pipeline again. She's the queen bee on that one. And she's got the most low cost energy in America just north of the border. So listen, I want to build data centers in West Virginia and North Dakota, but right now, she's my special friend. I'm going to find $70 billion, and I think Trump's going to like my project.
And Kevin has a world-class team behind him. So he's out there, this is not just a spur-of-the-moment thought. He's got the best of the best working on this.
Wow, that was very interesting to watch. I watch a lot of podcasts and things, and one thing I learned early on listening to scientists was listening to energy and how much more energy we need, because it's interesting because it comes back a long time ago. Why we're even able to have the technologies that we have is because people were able to eat enough food, get enough energy. Food is a source of energy for humans, to make things more efficient for themselves so that they could have more food, and things like hunting, tools for hunting is a technology that required energy and resources to make. Things like clothing, things like shelter, things like agriculture. These are all forms of technologies, and how I see, tech and you know, computers and AI. It's just, this is the latest form of technology. You know, the hammer at one time was the craziest thing, and you had to have, you know, you had to have energy to make a hammer. You had to have energy and resources to make a hammer. Energy of the human. But now we need energy in a different way, and you know, we want all of these crazy things. You know, everyone wants the craziest phone, the craziest computers, and these things, in order to be better, take more energy, take more energy. Everything takes more energy. And so it's interesting because, you know, on the bigger scale of things, we're trying to access efficient energy from our planet, you know, as humans. What can we do within our planet to make energy? But eventually, you know, the things that would have the most energy would be something like a star. You know, a star emits so much energy. Like, think about the sun. The sun, you know, we even have solar energy here because the sun emits so much energy that it's we try to capture it and convert it into energy for us, that we can use it in the way that we need it, not just heat and light, but also heat and light. So it's a very interesting concept to me, because this is obviously huge if they're able to get this done. You know, if they're able to raise the $70 billion and make that here, because, you know, it is interesting. You know, you see things like in other countries where they're burning coal, and how awful that is for the environment, and then you see what natural gas is compared to that, and it's drastically less. And so I just think that this is a very beneficial thing, not only to the province, to the country, but it's exciting. You know, it's exciting because people like to dream big, and people like to do large things, and you know, the AI and the Bitcoin and all that is here to stay, and you know, and it's only just getting started. So I'm glad I sat down and watched that. I'm curious to see what your guys' thoughts are. Do you hate this idea completely? Do you love it? You think it's interesting? I know I've been following it from when they released the very first letter. I was just like, what's going on with this, you know? And so it's just been something that I'm very interested in moving forward, and I'm going to be keeping a close eye on it as it keeps progressing. So there might be more reaction content coming from me in this regards. Anyways, I'll stop chatting so much. I think I got kind of all my thoughts out. That was interesting. They threw in some good points and some interesting information. So let me know what your thoughts are on this. I just it's interesting to me. All right, you know, as much as I am a rapper, I'm also an entrepreneur. I own a gym here, co-own a gym. I've been selling music and services. I've worked for myself for many years, ups and downs, obviously, but you know, entrepreneurial through and through. So things like this are just something that always keeps me interested and motivated to move forward and dream even bigger than I'm dreaming now. So yeah. Anyways, more love, more success to y'all.